Hello guys and welcome to my new video, and today is going to be very different. We're not talking about retail, we're talking about Cataclysm. I probably spent around 50 hours in the last week alone playing this, and this video is going to be talking about my healer main and why is it Discipline Priest, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Let's go and get started. Now, full disclosure, I actually missed a lot of the Cataclysm, so a lot of the things that I'm experiencing right now are brand new. The concepts, the class design, the dungeons. Again, the raids haven't been yet released, but they're going to be new to me as well. So if I miss out on something, if I don't really cover everything here, let me know in the comments. Let me know how you play Discipline Priest, or why are you playing Discipline Priest. Discipline Priest in Cataclysm seems to be like Blizzard's first iteration in terms of, hey, let's make a healer that can heal through damage. Let's see if people are going to like it or enjoy it or kind of gravitate towards it. Don't get me wrong, there are certain healers in Cataclysm who get rewarded for dealing damage because they can get, for example, mana back, but Discipline Priest can actually heal people through damage. So first of all, I've been spamming dungeons with my Discipline Priest. I started off with normal dungeons, I leveled to 85, and then I kind of went through all of the heroic dungeons and my experiences, how I felt about Discipline Priest, and is it a good healer for you to play. So first of all, in terms of how can you heal through damage, what are the main concepts? And they are basically Evangelism, Archangel, and Atonement. And they're a little bit different from the retail version if you're more familiar with retail. If you end up picking Evangelism, you're going to be encouraged to deal damage with Smite and Holy Fire. And I'll talk about Smite and Holy Fire a lot throughout the video because these are some of the core concepts when it comes to healing through damage. So you're casting Smite, you're casting Holy Fire, you're getting stacks of Evangelism, and Evangelism is going to increase the damage of certain spells and also reduce the mana cost of those spells. If you're looking at the video here, you can see this little vertical bar that has 5 stacks on it, and I'm tracking Evangelism with this. And on top of that, if you spec into Atonement, your Smite and Holy Fire is going to heal people. Now, again, we're talking about the retail version where in retail, your or certain spells are going to apply Atonement on targets, and then your damage is going to heal the people that have atonements. In Cataclysm is a lot more simplistic in terms of that, hey, I'm going to be pressing Smite and Holy Fire, and that is going to heal a low health player. Now keep in mind, it's only 15 yards around the enemy that you're damaging, which means that most of the time when I was doing heroic dungeons, it's either going to be the tank or some of the melee. And if I'm doing a dungeon with primarily ranged DPS that are all over the place, it's probably only going to be the tank that's getting healed from this based on the positioning of the group. So now you're familiar with Evangelism stacking, you're pressing your Smites, you're pressing your Holy Fires, you're getting Evangelism, the mana cost of those spells is reduced, the damage is increased, and then on top of that, you're also healing people because of your atonements, and you can play around that based on the positioning of your group. And you also have another really interesting concept in terms of Archangel. Now, this is something that you can play around in multiple different ways. And in terms of my UI, I talked about the vertical bar that I have in terms of tracking Evangelism stacks. Now, if I have 5 stacks of Evangelism and my Archangel ability is available, it'll light up yellow, which kind of means that I can press Archangel, which is going to give me a little bit of mana back, and it's going to give me a healing buff. So a lot of the times during these heroic dungeons, I might be doing certain trashbacks or certain bosses where there's not a whole lot of healing happening or people are really stacked, and my Smite and Holy Fire is more than enough to heal a lot of the party. And honestly, the damage that you can output in terms of my experiences has been really fun, because I can do a lot of damage and heal the party at the same time. And certain bosses, they don't really need a whole lot more than that. If I'm doing a certain boss or trashback and my Smite and Holy Fire healing is not enough, or it's not targeting the right people because of the range restrictions, I might be like panicking to some extent, but I'll be able to tracking my Evangelism stacks. I have 5 stacks, my Archangel is available, I pop my Archangel, I get mana back, I get a healing buff, and then I start healing depending on what the group needs. For example, maybe there's a whole lot of AoE damage happening. Prayer of Healing works pretty well with Divine Aegis. Maybe there are a couple of people in the group that are taking damage, including myself, and Binding Heal is a good way to heal. You have multiple different options when it comes to single target healing, depending on the situation and how fast you need to get your heal off. But it's also important to acknowledge that your spell priority is going to differentiate greatly if only one person is taking damage, or if only a couple of people need healing, or if the whole group has constant damage intake. But hey Maskus, what about shields? Of course, Discipline Priest still has shields, absorbs. Your mastery in Cataclysm revolves around absorbs. But if you play Discipline Priest in Wrath of the Lich King, you know that shielding was basically the core identity of the spec. And in Cataclysm, it'll most likely look a little bit different because you'll have more abilities to weave in, especially with the added synergies between Atonements, Archangel, and Evangelism, which is honestly for the better. But keep in mind, once I started doing my heroic dungeons right after leveling to 85 with a bunch of greens, mana was a big issue. You really had to play around the different mana management tools that Discipline Priest has, and it has a bunch of different cooldowns that give you mana back. But once I started getting better gear, once I started getting more spirit and things like that, I really felt the power of my character climb. I had less mana issues, I was able to do more healing through damage, and it just became a lot more fun, which is a lot different than retail because gear doesn't play a huge part in terms of mana management in retail. But in Cataclysm, you can definitely feel the difference. And I had fun playing around different mana management talents. For example, Rapture in something like Heroic Dungeons, I would place my Power Shield on a tank, and that is definitely going to get consumed because the tank is taking all of the damage. Rapture is going to proc and going to give you a certain amount of mana back, but it has a 12-second internal cooldown. So depending on the damage that is happening to the group, I might place my shields strategically on people that is going to get consumed when my Rapture internal cooldown is not there. So that way I'm going to be getting mana back almost all the time if I play around this in a decent way, depending on the damage intake and things like that. There's multiple different ways to kind of optimize or get mana because, again, I mentioned this. At the start, when you're starting doing heroic dungeons with low gear, mana is definitely going to be an issue, and even now it is an issue. Even when I have this most of the heroic gear on my character, we'll have to see how it's going to look like once you have the tier set, because a lot of the tier set for healers in Cataclysm help you with mana management. So for the summary of the video, Discipline Priest is very fun to play, and I've been enjoying Cataclysm immensely. I like the concepts that Blizzard is introducing here. Again, Cataclysm is nothing new, but you can see how Blizzard is trying to approach that healing through damage. And Discipline Priest, you have multiple different ways of dealing damage, which is going to heal people, but also stack up Evangelism, which you can pop, again, Archangel to get a healing buff. And on top of that, there's a bunch of glyphs to allow you to do that in terms of getting hit on Smite and Holy Fire, and the fact that your Smite is going to deal more damage if your target has Holy Fire dot on them, which is again another glyph. And because of this, you might have this little simple combo where you're casting Holy Fire and then trying to squeeze in as many smites as possible. It is also worth noting that the Holy Fire dot also heals people with Atonement talent. It encourages you to deal damage, you're getting something out of it. It just feels really fun. And the fact that in Cataclysm, if you're getting more gear, if you're getting more spirit, you feel your character getting more powerful, you're getting easier ways to manage your mana, you're casting more abilities, and I think Discipline Priest is honestly a really fun healer to try your journey with. So my recommendation, if you're someone who likes shields, absorbs, if you're someone who likes healing through damage, Discipline Priest in Cataclysm is very fun to play, just because the fact that I've just been playing this 15 hours every day, maybe I can't really see past this, but honestly, I just cannot stop playing Discipline Priest. I cannot stop playing Cataclysm right now. Let me know which other healer I should cover, because I'm looking for an alt. Maybe I'm going to try out Resto Shaman. Let me know if you like to see that. And again, if I miss out on something, if I messed up something, because I didn't get to experience Cataclysm the first time around. So this is all new to me. This is all exciting for me, and I've been loving my experience. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in my next video.